Good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Point of View with Miss Shirley Polk. I am so happy that you're here, and I'm so happy to be here today on the World Wide Web, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I do have two other sites, which is Africa TV, AFREECA and twitch.com. So I am very, very grateful to God for blessing me to have these avenues to come to you and be able to talk to the world. And dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. We're talking about memory today. Memory, and it came to me, and of course, I asked God to give me what to talk about. This is what He gave me today, memory, and I'm going to get right into it. I am on three sites today. I'm in Very Well Mind. I'm in Cleveland Science, Cleveland Today, Cleveland News Today.org, and I am in, I said those are two of them, Science News Today. Okay, I got all of them. So now I'll go here and start right here with Science News Today. Memory is the invisible thread that stitches together the story of who we are. Every smile we recall, every lesson we've learned, every person we've loved and lost lives inside this vast, intricate network of the mind. Without memory, life would unravel into isolated memories with no past and no sense of self. Yet memory is not a perfect archive. It is fragile, selective, and astonishingly complex, and that is for real. So, from the moment we are born, our brains record experiences not as perfect replicas of reality, but as interpretations shaped by biology and emotion. We remember our first day of school, the taste of a childhood meal, the the smell of rain on hot pavement, but we also forget countless moments, some fading naturally, others vanishing through trauma or disease. To understand memory is to understand the essence of human consciousness, a science that weaves together by biology, psychology, and the mysteries of the mind. This is astonishing to me. I am so thankful. The architecture of memory. And so I want to say again that we're in sciencenewstoday.org. Okay? The architecture of memory. Inside the human brain lies a labyrinth of neurons, about 86 billion of them, each forming thousands of connections, creating a network so vast it outnumbers the stars in our galaxy. Memory emerges from this network as patterns of communication between neurons. When we experience something new, specific groups of neurons activate together. The brain strengthens these connections through a process called synaptic plasticity. No, I got that wrong. Plasticity. I'm going to do the sentence again. I think yeah, about that. The brain strengthens these connections through a process called synaptic plasticity, allowing the experience to be stored and later recalled. Central to this process is the hippocampus, a seahorse shaped structure deep within the brain's medial temporal lobe. The hippocampus acts like a master librarian, helping to organize and store new memories. Without it, we struggle to form lasting recollections, as famously shown in cases of amnesia. But memory is not confined to a single place. Sensory memories are distributed across the brain, sights in the visual cortex, sounds in the auditory cortex, and emotions in the amygdala. Got that right. This distributed system means recalling a memory is like orchestrating a symphony. When you remember a childhood birthday, your brain reconstructs it, retrieving the smell of cake from one region, the sound of laughter from another, and the emotion of joy from yet another. Memory is not a snapshot, it is a reconstruction, rebuilt each time we recall it. Isn't that fascinating? This is fascinating to me. Next part, the journey of encoding. And we hear about encoding, encoding. Okay, so now we're going to talk about it in the memory in the brain. The journey of encoding. Before a memory can be stored, it must be encoded. Encoding is the process by which the brain transforms experiences into neural patterns. This begins with attention. We do not remember every detail of life because the brain filters what it considers important. A loud crash or an emotionally charged event is more likely to be encoded than the mundane background noise. And I want to do that again. I want to do that again. Okay? Because this is super good to me. And I love sharing. You know how I am. Before a memory can be stored, it must be encoded. Encoding is the process by which the brain transforms experiences into neural patterns. This begins with attention. We do not remember every detail of life because the brain filters what it considers important. A loud crash or an emotionally charged event is more likely to be encoded than mundane background noise. Once attended to, the brain translates sensory information into a form suitable for storage. Short term memory acts as a temporary holding space lasting only seconds to minutes. Imagine trying to remember a phone number long enough to dial it. That fleeting recall is short term memory at work. And we've all experienced that, haven't we? I know I have. I think I did that this morning trying to uh, remember a code. You know how we have to have these security codes for certain things. I did that just this morning. Oh, yes, I did. So if we rehearse the information or connect it to something meaningful, it can transition into long term memory where it may endure for years or even a lifetime. Emotion plays a profound role in encoding. Emotion plays a profound role in encoding. Experiences tied to strong feelings, fear, love, excitement, are remembered more vividly because of the amygdala's interaction with the hippocampus. Now, this is why many people can recall exactly where they were during significant life events but struggle to remember what they ate for lunch last week. Emotion acts as glue, binding memories more tightly into our minds. Oh my goodness. Next part, the layout of memory. Scientists often describe memory in layers or systems that work together to create the full spectrum of remembering. At the foundation lies sensory memory, which briefly holds raw information from the environment, a fleeting image or echo that lasts less than a second. We've all experienced that, haven't we? This really makes sense. Above it sits short term or working memory, which temporarily stores and manipulates information we need in the moment. Long term memory is more complex. It can be explicit or declarative, encompassing facts and events we consciously recall, or implicit, involving skills and habits we perform automatically without conscious thought. So, within explicit memory, semantic memory stores general knowledge, like the fact that Paris is the capital of France, while episodic memory captures personal experiences such as a trip to Paris. I want to reiterate that. But you have the site, and I know you'll probably want to go and read it for yourself. But I want to do this part again. Long term memory is more complex. It can be explicit or declarative, encompassing facts and events we consciously recall, or implicit, involving skills, or implicit, comma, involving skills and habits we perform automatically without conscious thought. With an explicit memory, semantic memory stores general knowledge, while the fact that Paris is the capital of France, while episodic memory captures personal experiences, such as a trip to Paris. Implicit memory includes procedural memory, responsible for tasks like riding a bicycle or playing a piano, skills that often last a lifetime even if explicit recollection fades. This intricate layering means memory is not a single phenomenon, but a collection of interconnected systems working in harmony. The next part here is the magic of consolidation. The magic of consolidation. Once encoded, memories must be stabilized through a process known as consolidation. In the hours and days following an experience, neural connections are strengthened, making the memory more resistant to interference and decay. Sleep plays a vital role here. During deep stages of sleep, particularly slow wave and REM sleep, the brain replays recent experiences, transforming them from the hippocampus to the neural cortex for long term storage. For long term storage. I'm going to check something out here because I want to make sure that I am pronouncing this correctly. Oh, yes. You know, we study these in school, and sometimes we don't run across these until later in life. I know you understand. So I want to make sure that I'm not messing up this word. Well, I'll have to just, I think I'm just going to go and continue. Continue what I am doing. The hippocampus. Okay. Experiments with animals and humans show that disrupting sleep can impair memory formation while enhancing certain brain waves during sleep can improve it. This nocturnal memory processing explains why a good night's rest often leads to sharper recall and why studying before sleep can aid learning. How about that? Consolidation ensures that memories, once fragile, become durable parts of our identity. The next part here is the art of retrieval. Storing a memory is only half the story. Storing a memory is only half the story. So we're in the art of retrieval, okay? Retrieval, the act of bringing a memory back to consciousness, is where memory truly lives. When we recall an event, the brain reactivates the network of neurons that were involved during I almost messed up. When we recall an event, the brain reactivates the network of neurons that were involved during encoding. This reactivation is not perfect. Like an artist repainting from memory, the brain can add, omit, or alter details, meaning that each recall subtly changes the memory itself. And we think about that sometimes, don't we? We really do. I do. So, this reconstructive nature of retrieval explains why eyewitness testimony can be unreliable and why stories told repeatedly evolve over time. Cues such as smells, sounds, or specific words can trigger retrieval, sometimes unexpectedly. The scent of a familiar perfume may instantly transport you to a forgotten moment from childhood, illustrating how sensory input can unlock long buried memories. And I know you experience that, don't you? Because I do. I do. I experience that. It's amazing. The memory is amazing. My goodness. Now we go to the mystery of forgetting. And we know that we have all kinds, there are different uh, effects, different diagnoses of forgetting. Would you give me just a few seconds here and I will return. Okay, I am on a roll here and I need to go ahead. There are the mystery of forgetting. If memory shapes who we are, forgetting is the force that sculpts it. We forget far more than we remember, and this is not necessarily a flaw. Forgetting allows the brain to declutter, discarding irrelevant details, and making space for new learning. Without it, our minds would be overwhelmed with unfiltered information. There are several mechanisms behind forgetting. There are several mechanisms behind forgetting. One is decay, the gradual weakening of neural connections over time. Decay. Oh, wow. Another is interference, where new memories disrupt the recall of older ones, or vice versa. Retrieval failure occurs when a memory exists but cannot be accessed, like knowing you know a name yet being unable to recall it in the moment. Oh, that is so familiar, isn't it? It is so familiar. Sometimes forgetting is motivated, okay? Sometimes it's motivated. Sometimes forgetting is motivated. Psychologists have documented how people may unconsciously repress memories of trauma or emotional pain as a protective mechanism. While controversial, this concept highlights the complex relationship between memory and emotion. Forgetting is not just loss, it is an active, adaptive process shaping how we navigate life. And thank God for us forgetting some things. Thank God. The errors of memory. The errors of memory. ERRORS. Because memory is reconstructive, it is prone to errors and distortions. False memories, recollections of events that never happened, can be implanted through suggestion or the blending of real memories with imagination. The famous experiments of psychologist Elizabeth Loftus demonstrated how easily eyewitness accounts can be manipulated, reshaping how courts handle testimony. And that is for real. That is something. How people change people's minds, and people are sure I saw it just like this. Are you sure you saw it like that? You didn't just see this or that or the other. Manipulation is very strong. It's a very strong trait. Even genuine memories can be warped. Over time, details fade or shift, and the brain may fill gaps with plausible but inaccurate information. This flexibility of memory is double edged. It enables creativity and problem solving, but challenges our assumptions about the reliability of personal history. Our next section here, the neuroscience of memory disorders. The neuroscience of memory disorders. And I am in Science News Today. .org. The neuroscience of memory disorders. When memory falters dramatically, it can signal neurological disorders. Amnesia, caused by brain injury or disease, may erase memories of the past. Retrograde amnesia, that's what that is, or prevent the formation of new ones. There's anterograde amnesia. We're learning today. Those of us who didn't know this, retrograde amnesia is when memory of the past is erased. And anterograde amnesia is being unable to form new memories. The case of patient HM, who lost the ability to form new long term memories after surgery removed his hippocampus, hippocampi, revealed much about how memory is localized in the brain. Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia gradually erode memory, stripping away not only facts and skills, but pieces of personal identity. That is so true. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. Not just once. Not just once. Research has linked these conditions to the buildup of abnormal proteins in the brain that damage neurons and disrupt communication. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial for developing treatments to protect and restore memory. It would be so nice if we could just remove that buildup, abnormal proteins building up in the brain, causing Alzheimer's. Other disorders like PTSD involve the opposite problem, memories that are too strong and intrusive. Okay? PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, involve the opposite problems, memories that are too strong and intrusive. In PTSD, traumatic experiences are etched so deeply they return as flashbacks and nightmares, overwhelming normal memory processes. Advances in neuroscience are exploring ways to soften these memories without erasing them, offering hope for healing. Hallelujah, Lord God. Next, the resilience and plasticity of memory. The resilience and plasticity of memory. Despite its vulnerabilities, memory is remarkably resilient. The brain can often adapt to injury, rerouting functions to undamaged reasons. That's amazing. God is, I'm going to save my word that I like so much. We know that Mary Poppins said it. We know that Disney owns it. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's who God is. He's better than good. Look how He made us. They had to say it here, resilient. Despite the vulnerabilities, memory is remarkably resilient. The brain can often adapt to injury, rerouting functions to undamaged reasons. Rehabilitation therapies teach patients to compensate for memory deficits, and in some cases, people recover seemingly lost memories over time. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself. That's neuroplasticity, okay? We're learning today. The brain's ability to reorganize itself, that's what that is, offers hope for enhancing memory. Mental exercises, learning new skills, physical activity, and social engagement have all been shown to strengthen memory and slow cognitive decline. The brain is not static, it is a living, changing organ that responds to how we use it. The brain is not static, it is a living, changing organ that responds to how we use it. Next, technology and the future of memory. As neuroscience advances, we edge closer to technologies that could manipulate memory. Brain implants have already restored partial memory function in patients with severe impairments. Experiments with optogenetics in animals allow scientists to activate or silence specific memories with light. You hear that? Experiments with optogenetics in animals allows scientists to activate or silence specific memories with light. Pharmaceuticals that enhance memory or dampen traumatic recollections are under development. Even non invasive techniques like a transcranial magnetic stimulation show promise in improving memory retrievals. I want to repeat that. Even non invasive techniques. I like that non invasive, don't you? The transcranial magnetic stimulation show promise in improving memory retrieval. These breakthroughs raise profound ethical questions. Should we erase painful memories if we can? Could enhancing memory, which widen social inequalities? And that's something I don't want to be too quick to put my 5 cents on either, because I know that God put this memory in us for us to be blessed to recall things that will go as far as saving our lives, remembering these things. Oh yes, so that's a positive of it. I'm just thankful to God. I am for who He is and what He's done and how He's made us resilient. How He's given these scientists all of this information. He's blessed them to be able to do the experiments, do the research, do all this, and find out all these good things for us. I am just so happy about it. Artificial intelligence and digital devices also reshape human memory. We increasingly outsource remembering to smartphones and cloud storage, changing how the brain prioritizes information. Some researchers predict we may one day merge biological and digital memory, creating hybrid minds with unprecedented recall. Whoa, Nelly, now that is neat. And you talking about the smartphones, how many of us can remember a third of the numbers we have in our phones? How many of us can remember? If something happens to our phones, we're almost lost, aren't we? Oh yes, almost lost. Memory and identity. And when we when we're traveling on the highway, especially when we're driving, riding along, even when we're in public transportation or however we travel, we have to have these phones. And do you remember, those of you who are old enough to remember, you remember when we used to travel the highways and we didn't have cell phones? We didn't have CBs in the car. CBs. Yeah, CBs. Yeah. We didn't have those in the car. And if something happened, someone would eventually come along and help us out. But now, if we leave out the house, if we're in a hurry, we leave out the house and leave that phone in. I got to be just a minute or two late because I've got to get back in there and get that phone. Those phones, it seems that we are addicted to them. And it's because they're so helpful, so helpful. This modern technology takes a load off of us, but then if it's not working, it puts a load on us. It's like we go into withdrawal. I can talk about myself, okay? Now, so I would admonish us all to remember the most important numbers that we need to remember. So if we have to call from somewhere else besides our smartphones and our internet, we will have those numbers stored in this magnificent memory of ours. Okay? Now, memory and identity. Ultimately, memory is more than a mental function. It is a foundation of identity. Our sense of self relies on continuity between past and present, held together by recollections of who we were and what we have experienced. When a memory fragments, as in dementia, identity itself can seem to unravel. Yet, memory is not static. We reinterpret our past constantly, reshaping personal narratives in light of new experiences. This malleability means identity, like memory, is a living story evolving over a lifetime. I want to say that again. Yet memory is not static. We reinterpret our past constantly, reshaping personal narratives in light of new experiences. This malleability means identity, like memory, is a living story evolving over a lifetime. Remembering allows us to learn and grow. Forgetting lets us heal and move forward. And I've been thinking here lately, this is a little personal thing and I won't go into details, but something happened to me when I was about, I guess I might have been about 10 years old. And I just told my daughter about it maybe a couple of months ago. I never told mama, I never told daddy. And here lately, I've been thinking about that. And I was 10, about 10 when it happened. But I didn't tell mom and dad. It makes me think about Maya Angelou. What is that? I know why the caged bird sings, or however that title is in that book. I can understand. So that's as far as I'll go. But I've been thinking about that lately, and then the connection to that incident. I think about that too. But I thank God that I'm resilient. I thank Him. I thank Him. I thank Him. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But I share, and I remember what Marion Wimberly, Marina in Denison said: "Don't tell all you know, but know what to tell." And I don't think about it, and it doesn't get me all upset. I just think about it because I've seen something that reminded me of that, and then I look at the situation, how it has deteriorated on the other side. Okay? So, the wonder of remembering. Despite decades of research, memory remains one of the most profound mysteries of neuroscience. We understand the mechanics, neurons firing, synapses strengthening, hippocampi organizing, but the subjective experience of remembering, the way a melody can flood the mind with emotion or a photograph can collapse decades into an instant, transcends biology alone. Oh, yes. Memory bridges time, allowing us to relive moments long gone and imagine futures not yet written. It connects us to others through shared history and culture. Not just history, and this is a light that came to me a few months ago. It's not just his story, it's her story, it's your story, it's my story, it's our story. Okay? Now, I'll move on. It connects us to others through shared stories and culture. It makes learning possible, fuels creativity, and shapes our choices. In its imperfections, in forgetting, in distortion, memory reveals itself not as a flaw, but as a gift finely tuned for survival and meaning making. Wow. In its imperfections, in forgetting, in distortion, memory reveals itself not as a flaw, but as a gift finely tuned for survival and meaning making. We do not remember everything because we are not meant to. We remember enough to become ourselves. How about that? Next is a living tapestry. The science of memory shows us that remembering is not like replaying a recording. It is like weaving a tapestry, intertwined into a dynamic work of art. Every time we recall, we weave again, altering colors and patterns, adding new strands, sometimes pulling old ones loose. I like that. Every time we recall, we weave again, altering colors and patterns, adding new strands, sometimes pulling old ones loose. Forgetting is not the tapestry unraveling, it is part of its design. It creates space for new stories, new knowledge, new ways of being. Memory is not a static archive, it is life itself, constantly rewritten, endlessly resilient, deeply human. From the firing of neurons to the telling of family stories, from the fragility of aging minds to the promise of technological enhancement, memory defines the human experience. Understanding it brings us closer to understanding ourselves, a journey that, like memory itself, is ever unfolding, rich with mystery and wonder. This is amazing. And that is the end of this piece. And that is sciencenewstoday.org. That's a splendid piece. I really did enjoy that piece. And you know what? Because it just really, really gave us what we needed today. I really believe that. I am not going to press any further on this, go any farther, because it has really been explained to us through sciencenewstoday.org, talking about our memory. And I have, like I told you, I'm going to give you this. What is memory? This is in uh, clevelandclinic.org. What is memory? And then I have different types of memories, which is in very well mind. Different types of memory. I don't know whether I already said that I'm going to close out, but I did have that different types of memory. Four main types. I think I gave those main types in while I was talking in the science news today. Four main types of memory. So let me get there if I can. I just want to see here if I covered that, and if I didn't, I will, because we have just a few. Four main types of memory. For years, researchers and experts have debated the classification of memories. Many agree that there are four main categories of memory, with all other types of memory tending to fall within these major categories. And I did name some just a few minutes ago, but let's go on and check into this. No need to have do something when we can do it all the way, huh? Within my time frame here. And this is very well mine. You familiar with this if you've been listening to me anytime. At any time, I like very well mind the four types of memory. And let's go into it. Memory is sometimes also classified into stages and processes. People with who classify memory into only two distinctive types, implicit and explicit memory, believe that other types of memory, like sensory, short term, and long term memory, are not different types, but more so stages of memory. Now, hey, let's look at that. So the sensory memory allows you to remember sensory information about the stimulation has ended. Okay, sensory memory allows you to remember sensory information after the stimulation has ended. Remembering the sensation of a person's touch or sound you heard in passing is sensory memory. Memory. How about that? Okay. Researchers who classify memory more as stages than types believe that all other memories begin with the formation of sensory memories. Typically, sensory memory only holds onto information for brief periods. Let's try to get to the other one. There are three types of sensory memory: the neuroanatomical, neurophysiological, and psychological basis of memory, current models, and their origins. So there's short term memory, and it allows you to recall specific information about something for a brief period. So let me get working memory involves the immediate and small amount of information that a person actively uses as they perform cognitive tasks. While some view working memory as a fourth distinct type of memory, it can fall under the classification of short term memory and, in many cases, is even used interchangeably. Then there's the long term memory. We talked about this. We store a vast majority of our memories in our long term memory. Any memory we can still recall after 30 seconds could be classified as long term memory. After 30 seconds, how about that? So these memories range in significance from recalling the name of a friendly face at your favorite coffee shop to important bits of information like a close friend's birthday or your home address. How about that? Now we'll go into, okay, it said there is no limit to how much our long term memory can hold and for how long. We can further split long term memory into two main categories: explicit and implicit long term memory. Explicit long term memory, explicit long term memories are memories we consciously and deliberately take time to form and recall. Explicit memory holds information such as your best friend's birthday or your phone number. It often includes major milestones in your life, such as childhood events, graduation dates, or academic work you learned in school. In general, explicit memories can be episodic or semantic. We did go over that, didn't we? And then there's the episodic memories are formed from particular episodes in your life. And there are examples here include the first time you rode a bike on the first day of school. And I still remember The first time I rode the bike by myself in Tower Lane in Denison, and we had a bush right on the corner. We live in three Tower Lanes, so one Tower Lane and three Tower Lane were the same, uh, in the same building. They put two in the one-story units. They put two apartments, like so. There was a tree, and I think it was the kind that had those red berries on it when they would come into season. We didn't eat them or anything. But anyway, it was right on the corner of the building. So I was going and I was starting right there. So there was a little hill, a little hill. And so I was rolling in that bike and ran into that bush. Ran into that bush and scratched my face. I sure did. I remember that first time riding the bike by myself. Okie dokie. So this is so true. Essential memories are general facts, bits of information you've absorbed over the years. For instance, when you recall a random fact while filling in a crossword puzzle, you pull it from your semantic memory. How about that? Implicit long term memory. We are not as we are with explicit ones. Implicit memories form unconsciously and might affect the way a person thinks and behaves. Whoa. Implicit memory often comes into play when we are learning motor skills like walking or riding a bike. If you learned how to ride a bike when you were 10 and don't pick it up again until you are 20, implicit memory helps you remember how to ride it. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think about the piano, and like I haven't, oh gosh, it's been probably, oh my goodness, probably almost 2 years since I've touched the keyboard, and I've been thinking here lately I should get my keyboard out and I should play. But every time I pull it out, whether it's 3, 4, 5 years, I always remember how to play. I always remember my keys. I know how to ride a bicycle, even though I haven't been on one in quite a while, but I remember all that. So I understand this memory. I understand this memory. The three types of memory retrieval are recall, recognition, and relearning. Why do we have different types of memory? Each different type of memory we have is important, and they all have various functions. Your short term memory allows you to process and understand the information in an instant. When you read a paragraph in a book and understand it, that's your short term memory at work. Your most treasured and important memories are held in your long term memory. Your long term memory facilitates how to walk, talk, ride a bike, and engage in daily activities. It also allows you to recall important dates and facts. And I'm glad I kept on. My time is not up. It almost is. In your day-to-day activities, you are bound to find yourself relying on your long-term memory the most. From waking up, here we go, and brushing your teeth to getting on the right bus to commute to work, recalling all of these steps in is facilitated by your long-term memory. All right. Thank you so much. I love you so much and I appreciate you. We talked about the memory today, and it is absolutely amazing. All of this information. Thank you so much. I love you so much. Uh, Thursday, please join me, God willing, And on Wednesday is from the Biblical Files of Dr. Mack at 1 p.m. Thursday at 1 p.m. is Point of View of Miss Shirley Polk. Friday at 1 p.m. is the Mother's Board Inc. Saturday at 7:39 p.m. and Sunday at 7 a.m. is Greater Gospel Temple Church of Praise and Worship and Inspiration of God Ministries. I love you so much. 469-629-9543 is the number, and you can even message me. Okay? I love you through these sites. I love you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate you.